I came home early that Tuesday and found a pregnancy test in our bathroom trash. Two pink lines. My wife was pregnant, except we hadn't touched each other in 4 months. When I confronted her that evening, she didn't cry, didn't beg, didn't even try to lie. She just looked me in the eye and said 3 words that changed everything. "It's not yours." Then she told me his name, her boss, the CEO, the man she'd been choosing over me for 8 months straight. But here's what she didn't know. Everything in our luxury condo was in my name. Every bill, every lease, every single piece of paper that mattered. And while she expected me to rage and scream and break things, I just smiled and thanked her for her honesty. What happened next? Subscribe and tell me where you're watching from, because this story of quiet revenge will show you that sometimes the most devastating response isn't anger, it's calm. The call wasn't meant for me. I know that now. I knew it then too, standing in our bedroom doorway with my work boots half laced, watching Evelyn pace near the window with her phone pressed tight to her ear. Her voice was soft, too soft, the kind of soft that makes you stop moving and just listen. "I know," she said. "I know, but I can't tell him yet." My hands went still on the laces. "It's only been a few weeks," she continued, turning toward the glass. "I need to figure out how to. I don't know. I just need time." She laughed then. Not the laugh she used with me, the quick, polite one that said she was humoring me. This was different, warmer, real. I finished tying my boots in silence and left the room before she could turn around. Breakfast was eggs and toast, same as every Tuesday. Evelyn sat across from me at the marble island, scrolling through her phone. She was already dressed, crisp white blouse, tailored pants, hair pulled back in that sleek way that made her look like she belonged in a boardroom, which she did. I ate slowly, watching her. Fingers move across the screen. "You're quiet this morning," she said without looking up. "Just tired." "You're always tired." She set the phone down and finally looked at me. "Maybe if you took a real job, you wouldn't have to work yourself into the ground." I kept chewing, didn't say anything. "I'm serious, Marcus. You're talented. You could work for a company. Benefits. Stability. Instead of running around fixing sinks for people who barely pay you." I took a sip of coffee. "I do fine." "Fine isn't great." She stood up, smoothing her pants. "I have a meeting at 9. Don't forget to call the cleaners about the carpets." "I won't." She grabbed her purse and keys, paused at the door. "Oh, and my mother wants us to come to dinner this weekend." "Can't. I've got a job Saturday." Evelyn sighed. "Of course you do." The door clicked shut behind her. I sat there for a long time after she left, staring at my plate. The job that afternoon got canceled. Burst pipe turned out to be a false alarm. The client apologized, offered to pay me for the drive, but I waved it off and headed home early. The condo was quiet when I walked in. Too quiet. Evelyn wasn't supposed to be home until 6. I set my toolbox down by the door and kicked off my boots. The place always felt cold, even with the heat on. All white walls and marble counters and furniture that looked expensive but didn't feel like anything. I walked toward the bedroom to change and stopped. The bathroom light was on. I don't know why I went in. Maybe I heard something. Maybe I just felt pulled. Either way, I pushed the door open and stepped inside. The trash can was right there, next to the sink, not even covered. And sitting on top of a crumpled tissue was a pregnancy test. 2 pink lines. I stood there, staring at it, my heart doing something strange in my chest. Not racing, not stopping, just heavy. I picked it up, turned it over in my hands like it might say something different if I looked at it right. But it didn't. I set it back down exactly where I found it and walked out. Sat on the edge of the bed, put my hands on my knees and focused on breathing. In, out, in, out. Evelyn was pregnant. We hadn't had sex in 4 months. She came home just after 6, breezing through the door with her phone still in her hand. God, what a day, she said, dropping her purse on the counter. Richard's been impossible. Wants the entire pitch redone before Friday. I was sitting on the couch, waiting. Evelyn, she looked up, surprised. What? Come sit down. Her eyes narrowed. Why? What's wrong? Just sit. She hesitated, then walked over and sat on the chair across from me. Not next to me. Never next to me. I leaned forward, resting my elbows on my knees. I need you to be honest with me. About what? Are you pregnant? The color drained from her face. For a second, I thought she might lie. I could see her weighing it, trying to figure out if she could get away with it. But then she exhaled and looked down at her hands. Yes. The word hung in the air between us. I nodded slowly. Okay? Marcus, is it mine? She didn't answer right away, and in that silence, I already knew. No, she said quietly. It's not. I smiled. Couldn't help it. Just this small, strange smile that didn't mean anything. Okay, I said again. Evelyn looked up at me, confused, maybe scared. That's it? That's all you're going to say? Who's the father? She bit her lip. Does it matter? Yeah, it does. She looked away. Richard. Richard, her boss, the man she talked about constantly, the man who called her at night, who sent her emails at midnight, who took her to business dinners where I was never invited. Richard Cole, I said, just to make sure. Yes, I stood up, stretched, felt my back pop. How long? Marcus, how long, Evelyn? 8 months. 8 months. Almost a year. Almost the entire time we'd been living. Here. I nodded again. All right. That's it? Her voice went high, almost hysterical. You're not going to yell? Not going to... No. Why not? I looked at her then, really looked at her. At the woman I'd married 3 years ago. The woman who used to laugh at my jokes and hold my hand in public and tell me I was enough. Because it won't change anything, I said. I walked past her toward the bedroom. Where are you going? Shower. She stood up, following me. Marcus, we need to talk about this. We just did. No, we didn't. You can't just... I turned around. She stopped walking. Thank you for being honest, I said. I mean that. Then I went into the bathroom and shut the door. I heard her standing there for a long time, heard her breathing, heard her say my name once, soft and uncertain. Then I heard her walk away. I didn't sleep that night. Evelyn did. I could hear her breathing from the living room couch where I'd set up with my laptop. I went through everything, the lease, the utilities, the insurance, every document, every bill, every piece of paper that tied us to this place. All of it was in my name. The condo was mine. I'd paid the deposit. I'd paid every month's rent for 3 years while Evelyn climbed the corporate ladder. She'd offered to split it a few times, but I'd always said no. Told her to save her money. Told her I had it covered. Stupid, but useful now. I pulled up a law firm's website and saved the contact information. Divorce attorney, 5-star reviews, free consultation. Then I opened a new document and started drafting an eviction notice. Morning came too fast. Evelyn was already in the kitchen when I walked in, pouring coffee like nothing had happened. Good morning, she said carefully. Morning. I pulled 2 envelopes from my back pocket and set them on the counter between us. She looked down at them. What's this? Open them. Her hands shook as she picked up the first envelope. I watched her face as she read. Watched the confusion turn to disbelief, turn to something like panic. Divorce papers? Yeah. She grabbed the second envelope, tore it open. And an eviction notice? The lease is in my name. You have 30 days. Marcus, you can't be serious. I am. You can't just kick me out. I can. I checked. She laughed. Actually, laughed. This is insane. You're being insane. Maybe. Marcus, she reached for me, but I stepped back. Don't. We can work this out. We can. No, we can't. I made a mistake. I know I did. But we can fix this. I looked at her, really looked at her, at the desperation in her eyes, the fear. You didn't make a mistake, I said quietly. You made a choice. For 8 months, you made that choice every single day. It's not that simple. Yeah, it is. I picked up my keys and my toolbox. 30 days, Evelyn. After that, the locks get changed. Where am I supposed to go? I stopped at the door, turned back. I don't know, I said. Maybe ask Richard. Then I left. She called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer any of them. By the time I got back to the condo that evening, she was gone. A note on the counter said she was staying at the Grandview Hotel downtown, the fancy one where rooms started at $300 a night. I crumpled the note and threw it away. Then I sat on the couch in the silence and let myself feel it. All of it. The anger, the hurt, the humiliation. But mostly, I felt relief. It was over. The pretending, the trying, the hoping that maybe someday she'd look at me the way she looked at her phone when his name lit up the screen. I wasn't enough for her. I knew that now. Maybe I'd always known it. But I was enough for me. And that was going to have to be enough. The next morning, I woke up early and went to work. Normal day, normal jobs, fixed a leaking faucet for Mrs. Chen on 5th Street, replaced a garbage disposal for the Martins. Across town, Caleb met me at the second job, his truck pulling up just as I was finishing. Heard about you and Evelyn, he said, climbing out. I didn't ask how he knew. People talk. Yeah. You good? I'm fine. He studied me for a second, then nodded. All right. You need anything? You call me. I know. I'm serious, man, day or night. I clapped him on the shoulder. I appreciate it. We worked the rest of the job in comfortable silence. Caleb didn't push, didn't ask questions, just stayed close, the way good friends do. That night, I started looking at apartments, something smaller, simpler, somewhere that felt like mine. I found one by midnight, a one-bedroom in a quiet building near the east side, hardwood floors, big windows, a landlord who actually smiled when I called. I signed the lease over the phone. Move-in date, 2 weeks. Evelyn called again on Thursday. This time, I answered. Marcus, she said, her voice breaking. Please, can we just talk? We did talk. No, we didn't. You served me papers and walked away. What else is there to say? I'm sorry. I sat down on the couch, closed my eyes. I know you are. Then why won't you? Because sorry doesn't change anything, Evelyn. Sorry doesn't make the last 8 months go away. It doesn't make me forget every time you looked at me like I was in your way. That's not fair. Maybe not, but it's true. She was crying now. I could hear it. I didn't mean for this to happen. Yeah, you did. Marcus, you chose him. Every day you chose him. And now you're pregnant with his baby, and he's probably not answering your calls, and you're scared. I get it, but that's not my problem anymore. Silence. Then, quietly, he won't talk to me. I didn't say anything. I've called him 20 times. He won't answer. His assistant says he's unavailable. I'm sorry. Are you? Yeah, I am. Then help me. No. Marcus, please. I hung up, set the phone down on the coffee table and stared at it until the screen went dark. Then I went to bed and slept better than I had in months. The new apartment smelled like fresh paint and possibility. I moved in on a Saturday morning with Caleb's help. Didn't have much to bring. Most of the furniture in the condo had been Evelyn's, bought with her money, picked out by her mother. I took what was mine, my tools, my clothes, the old leather chair my grandfather left me, a few boxes of books. That was it. This is nice, Caleb said, looking around the empty living room. Good light. Yeah? He set down the last box and wiped his hands on his jeans. You need help unpacking? Nah, I got it. You sure? I nodded. Thanks for the help, though. Anytime, brother. He pulled out his phone, checked something. Listen, me and Jenny are doing dinner tomorrow night. Nothing fancy, just burgers and whatever. You should come. I don't know. I'm not asking. I'm telling you. 6 o'clock. Bring beer if you want, but show up either way. I smiled, despite myself. All right. Good. After he left, I spent the rest of the day unpacking. It didn't take long. By evening, I had my bed set up, my clothes in the closet, my grandfather's chair by the window. The apartment manager, Linda, knocked around 7. Just checking to see if you need anything, she said. She was older, maybe 60, with kind eyes and gray hair pulled back in a practical bun. I'm good. Thank you. You settle in okay? Yeah, it's perfect. She smiled. Good. You seemed like you needed a quiet place. I didn't ask how she knew. Maybe everyone who shows up looking for an apartment at midnight needs a quiet place. If you need anything, I'm in 1A. Don't hesitate. I won't. That night, I sat in my grandfather's chair and looked out the window at the street below. Watched the cars pass, watched the lights come on in other apartments, watched life keep moving. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt like I could breathe. Work on Monday was good, simple, a busted water heater for the Johnsons, new locks for a rental property on Maple Street, normal things that had clear solutions. I was finishing up the locks when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Is this Marcus Hill? Yeah. Who's this? This is Diane Hart, Evelyn's mother. I closed my eyes. Of course. Mrs. Hart, I think we need to talk. I don't think we do. My daughter is going through a very difficult time right now. I know. She made a mistake. We all make mistakes. I finished installing the last lock and tested it. Smooth. Perfect. Is there something specific you need, Mrs. Hart? I need you to stop being stubborn and think about what you're doing. I have thought about it. Really? Because from where I'm standing, you're throwing away a perfectly good marriage over her cheating on me for 8 months and getting pregnant with another man's baby? Silence. Then colder. These things happen in marriages. Maybe in yours. Excuse me? I packed up my tools, phone pressed between my shoulder and ear. Look, I appreciate the call, but Evelyn and I are done. The papers are filed. She's got 2 more weeks to get her stuff out of the condo. After that, I'm changing the locks. You can't just abandon her. I'm not abandoning her. I'm divorcing her. There's a difference. She needs support right now. Then she should call the baby's father. Marcus, have a good day, Mrs. Hart. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. I stood there in the empty rental unit, taking deep breaths until they steadied. Then, I finished packing my tools and moved on to the next job. Dinner at Caleb's was exactly what I needed. Jenny met me at the door with a hug. It's so good to see you. You too. Their house was small but warm. Lived in, pictures on the walls, toys in the corner from their daughter, music playing softly from the kitchen. Beer's in the fridge, Caleb called from the grill outside. Help yourself. I grabbed one and joined him on the back porch. The evening was cool, almost cold, but the heat from the grill felt good. How you holding up? He asked, flipping burgers. Better? Yeah? Yeah? He nodded, not pushing, just letting me talk if I wanted to. Her mom called me yesterday. Jesus! What did she want? For me to take Evelyn back, I think. Gave me some speech about mistakes and marriage. What did you say? I hung up. Caleb laughed. Good. She called me stubborn. You are stubborn, but you're not stupid. We ate outside even though it was cold. The three of us wrapped in jackets, passing around potato salad and talking about normal things: work, weather, Jenny's sister's upcoming wedding. Nobody mentioned Evelyn. Nobody asked if I was okay. They just treated me like I was still whole, like I was still me. It helped more than they knew. Wednesday morning, I ran into someone I hadn't seen in years. I was grabbing coffee before my first job when I heard my name. Marcus? Marcus Hill? I turned. Took me a second to place him. Derek. We'd worked construction together 5 years ago before I started my own handyman business. Derek? Man, how you been? Good, good. You? Can't complain. We caught up for a few minutes, the usual stuff. He'd moved to a different company, got married, bought a house. Hey, he said, lowering his voice. I heard about you and Evelyn. My stomach tightened. Yeah, that's rough, man. I'm sorry. Thanks. He hesitated then. Listen, I don't know if you knew this, but she used to talk about you at company events. What do you mean? My wife works at Henderson Corp. Same building as Evelyn's company. They've had a couple joint events over the years. He shifted, uncomfortable. Evelyn would say things about you, like jokes, I guess, but not funny jokes. What kind of things? Just that you were temporary, that she was waiting for the right time to upgrade, stuff like that. He looked genuinely sorry. I thought you should know. I stood there holding my coffee, feeling something cold settle in my chest. Thanks for telling me. Yeah, man. Take care of yourself. He left, and I stood there on the sidewalk for a long time. Temporary. That's what I'd been to her. A placeholder. Someone to keep the bed warm until something better came along. I threw the coffee in the trash and went to work. That night, my phone buzzed. Text message from Evelyn. I know you hate me. I know I deserve it. But I need help, Marcus. Please. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it and went to bed. Thursday evening, she showed up at my apartment. I heard the knock and knew, somehow, that it was her. When I opened the door, she looked smaller than I remembered, tired. Her hair was down, unstyled, no makeup. She was wearing jeans and a sweater that looked too big. How'd you find me? Caleb's wife. I called her. I made a mental note to talk to Jenny about giving out my address. What do you want, Evelyn? Can I come in? No, she flinched. Please, just for a minute. Say what you need to say from there. Her eyes filled with tears. Real ones, I think. I'm sorry. You said that already. I mean it. I believe you. Then why won't you help me? I leaned against the doorframe. What do you need help with? Richard won't talk to me. He blocked my number. His assistant says he's unavailable indefinitely. Okay. I'm pregnant, Marcus. I'm pregnant with his baby, and he won't even... Her voice broke. I don't know what to do. You're smart. You'll figure it out. That's it? That's all you have to say? What do you want me to say? I want you to care. I did care. For 3 years, I cared. I cared so much that I worked myself into the ground paying for a place I never felt welcome in. I cared so much that I ignored every time you looked right through me, every time your mother talked down to me, every time you chose him over me. I didn't. You did. Every time he called, you answered. Every time he needed you, you went. And I was just there, temporary. Her face went pale. Who told you that? Does it matter? Marcus, you made your choice, Evelyn. You chose power and status and whatever it was he gave you that I couldn't. That's fine. That's your right. But you don't get to come here now and ask me to fix it. I'm not asking you to fix it. I'm asking you to care. I do care. I care enough to let you go. I care enough to not stand in your way while you figure out your life. But I don't care enough to rescue you from the consequences of your own choices. Tears were streaming down her face now. I thought you loved me. I did. Past tense? Yeah, past tense. She stood there for a moment, crying quietly. Then she wiped her face and straightened her shoulders. Fine. You want to be cruel? You want to pretend like you never felt anything? Fine. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. You're being cold. Maybe, but I'm done being warm to people who treat me like I'm in the way. She turned to leave, then stopped. You know what the worst part is? I actually thought you'd be different. I thought you'd be one of those men who stays, who fights, but you're just like everyone else. No, I said quietly. I'm just like me, and that's not enough for you. It never was. She walked away without another word. I closed the door and locked it. Then, I sat in my grandfather's chair and stared at the wall until my breathing steadied. Friday morning, I got a call from the attorney. Mr. Hill, this is Sarah Chen from Martin and Associates. I have some good news. Yeah? Ms. Harthill signed the divorce papers. No contest. Everything's been filed with the court. You should have final documentation within 30 days. I sat down on the edge of my bed. That's it? That's it. Congratulations. You're almost a free man. Thank you. One more thing. She's vacated the property. Left the keys with building management this morning. You're clear to change the locks whenever you're ready. After I hung up, I sat there for a long time. It was over. Really over. I thought I'd feel something. Relief, anger, sadness. But I just felt quiet. Saturday, I went to the condo to pack up the last of Evelyn's things. She'd taken most of it, but there were still items scattered around. A few books, some kitchen stuff, a framed photo of us from our wedding day. I looked at that photo for a long time. We looked happy, young, full of hope. I wondered when it had changed, when I'd stopped being enough. If there was a specific moment or if it had been gradual, like water wearing down stone. I packed it all into boxes and called a storage company. Paid for 6 months. Upfront. Left the unit number and access code with her mother's voicemail. Then, I changed the locks. It took less than an hour. That afternoon, I went car shopping. Not because I needed to. My truck ran fine, but because I wanted something that felt like mine. Something I'd chosen. I found it at a small dealership on the south side. A used BMW. Nothing flashy. Dark gray. Clean. The kind of car that said I had my life together without screaming about it. You sure? The salesman asked. It's a good car, but it's not exactly a work truck. I'm sure. I paid cash. Drove off the lot with the windows down and music playing. For the first time in years, I felt proud of something. Sunday morning, I was driving through downtown when I saw her. Evelyn. She was standing on the corner outside the old condo building, looking up at the windows. She looked smaller from this distance. Lost. Our eyes met as I drove past. I didn't stop. Didn't wave. Just kept driving. In my rearview mirror, I saw her watch the car until I turned the corner. Then she was gone. That night, I sat in my apartment and thought about the baby. Evelyn's baby. Richard's baby. Not mine. I didn't hate it. Couldn't hate an innocent kid who didn't ask to be born into this mess. But I couldn't be part of it either. Some people might call that cold. Might say I should step up, be the bigger man, help raise a child that isn't mine. But I'd spent 3 years being smaller than I was to fit into Evelyn's life. I was done shrinking. The baby would be fine. Evelyn had money, family, resources, and Richard, wherever he was, would figure out eventually that running doesn't make problems disappear. But none of that was my responsibility anymore. I was just Marcus now, just me, and that was enough. 3 weeks passed like water. I worked, I ate, I slept in my own bed in my own apartment where nobody made me feel like I was temporary. Caleb invited me to a barbecue. Jenny introduced me to her single friend, but I politely declined. Too soon, maybe forever too soon. Linda, the building manager, started leaving fresh baked cookies by my door every Sunday. She never mentioned why, just smiled when I thanked her. Life got quieter, simpler, better. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday morning. I met Sarah Chen at her office downtown. She handed me a folder with all the paperwork, everything stamped and official. "That's it," she said. "You're officially divorced." I looked down at the papers. My name, Evelyn's name, a judge's signature, making it real. "How do you feel?" Sarah asked. Honest answer? "Always." "Relieved." She smiled. "That's a good answer." I thanked her, paid the final bill, and walked out into the cool October morning. The sun was bright. The air smelled like coffee and fallen leaves. I felt nothing. No joy, no sadness, no anger, just peace. I drove to the park near my apartment and sat on a bench for an hour watching. People walked their dogs and jogged past and lived their normal lives. Nobody knew I'd just gotten divorced. Nobody cared. I was just another person on a bench on a Tuesday morning. And that felt exactly right. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. "This is Richard Cole. We need to talk." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it and went back to work. He called twice that evening. I didn't answer. The third time, I blocked the number. Whatever he wanted to say, I didn't need to hear it. Friday night, I treated myself to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Nothing too fancy, just a place with good steaks and quiet music. I sat alone at a table by the window, reading a book between courses, perfectly content. The waiter was kind, asked if I was waiting for someone. I said no. He smiled and brought me extra bread without me asking. Halfway through my meal, I looked up and saw them, Evelyn and Richard. They were at a table near the back. She was talking, leaning forward, her face tense and urgent. He was looking at his phone, barely listening. I watched for just a moment, watched him dismiss her with a gesture, watched her sit back, something breaking in her expression. Then I looked away and went back to my book. They didn't see me. Or if they did, they didn't come over. I finished my steak, ordered dessert, paid my bill, and left. Behind me, I could feel eyes on my back. I didn't turn around. Saturday morning, Evelyn texted me. "I saw you last night." I didn't respond. "You looked happy." I set the phone down and made coffee. "I'm sorry for everything. I hope you know that." I picked up the phone, stared at the messages, then set it back down. "The baby's due in March. It's a girl." My hand hovered over the keyboard. Then I put the phone in a drawer and went about my day. November came in cold and gray. I picked up more work, stayed busy, started going to the gym in the mornings, something I'd never had time for before. Linda asked if I wanted to help with the building's community garden in the spring. I said yes. Caleb and Jenny invited me to Thanksgiving. I brought pie and helped their daughter build a blanket fort after dinner. Life kept happening, kept moving forward, and I kept moving with it. One evening in late November, I was walking back from the corner store when I saw a woman struggling with grocery bags at the building entrance. "Need help?" I called out. She turned, young, maybe 25, bright smile despite looking exhausted. "That would be amazing, thank you." I took 2 bags and held the door. "Which floor?" "Third, 3B. I'm in 2C. "I know, Linda talks about you." I raised an eyebrow. "Good things, I hope." "Very good things. She says you fixed her sink last week for free." "It was just a loose valve. Took 5 minutes." "Still, that's kind." We rode the elevator in comfortable silence. When we reached her floor, I helped her carry the bags to her door. "I'm Maya, by the way." "Marcus. Nice to meet you, Marcus. Thanks for the help." "Anytime." She smiled and disappeared inside, and I went back to my apartment feeling lighter somehow. The next week, she knocked on my door with fresh cookies. From my grandma's recipe, she said, payment for the grocery help. You didn't have to do that. I know, but I wanted to. We talked in the hallway for 20 minutes. She was a teacher, second grade. Loved it, but said the pay was terrible. I told her about my work, and she laughed at my stories about weird repair jobs. It was easy, natural, no pressure. When she left, she said, we should get coffee sometime. I'd like that. Good. I'm in 3B if you ever want company. After she left, I stood in my doorway for a moment, smiling. Then I went inside and added, call Maya, to my mental list of things to do. December brought the first snow. I drove through it one morning, heading to a job on the north side, and found myself passing the old condo building. I slowed down without meaning to, looked up at the windows. Someone else lived there now. I could see different curtains, different furniture. It wasn't mine anymore. Maybe it never had been. I drove on. Christmas came quiet and peaceful. Caleb and Jenny insisted I spend it with them. Their daughter made me a card with stick figures and glitter. I hung it on my fridge. Maya invited me to her family's dinner on Christmas Eve. I went and met her grandmother, who hugged me like I was already family and fed me enough food to last a week. You're a good boy, she told me in broken English. My Maya needs a good boy. Maya's face went red. Grandma, please. But she smiled at me across the table, and I smiled back. The day after Christmas, I got a package. No return address. Just my name and apartment number in handwriting I didn't recognize. Inside was a baby photo in a frame and a note. Her name is Claire. She has his eyes. I thought you should know. Thank you for everything you taught me about dignity. I'm sorry I learned it too late. I looked at the photo for a long time. A tiny baby with dark hair and pale skin and eyes that looked like they were already seeing too much. She was beautiful, innocent, perfect. I put the photo in the drawer with the divorce papers and closed it. Then I went for a walk in the snow. New Year's Eve, Maya invited me to her apartment for dinner. Nothing fancy, she said, just pasta and wine and watching the ball drop on TV. Sounds perfect. It was. We talked about everything. About her students, about my work, about dreams and fears and all the small things that make up a life. At midnight, the TV counted down. 10, 9, 8. Marcus? Maya said softly. Yeah? Can I kiss you? I looked at her, really looked, at the hope in her eyes, the kindness, the possibility. Yeah, I said, you can. It was soft, sweet, gentle. When we pulled back, she was smiling. Happy New Year, she whispered. Happy New Year. January came with clear skies and cold mornings. I started every day the same way. Coffee, shower, check the job schedule, head out into the world. Life had rhythm now, pattern, peace. One morning, Linda knocked on my door with a letter. This came for you, was in the wrong mailbox. I thanked her and looked at the return address. A law firm I didn't recognize. Inside was a letter from Richard Cole's attorney. A check, a large one, unsigned papers about child support and legal responsibility, and a handwritten note at the bottom. Mr. Hill, my client wishes to formally apologize for any distress caused to you during this unfortunate situation. He takes full responsibility for his actions and hopes this settlement demonstrates his sincere regret. Please sign the attached waiver acknowledging receipt and releasing all parties from further liability. I read it twice. Then I tore it all up and threw it in. Ooh, the trash. I didn't need his money, didn't need his apology, didn't need anything from him at all. That weekend, Maya and I went to the movies, held hands in the dark theater, shared popcorn, and laughed at the same jokes. Afterward, walking to my car, she said, "Can I ask you something?" Sure. Linda told me you were married before. I was. Do you want to talk about it? I thought about it, about Evelyn, about Richard, about 3 years of feeling smaller than I was. Not really, I said. That's over. I'm here now. She squeezed my hand. Good. Here is good. Yeah, it is. February brought warmer days and the first hints of spring. I started working on Linda's community garden, turning soil and building planter boxes. Maya came down sometimes to help, getting dirt on her face and laughing when I teased her about her lack of gardening skills. Caleb and Jenny invited us over for a double date. Jenny pulled me aside in the kitchen. She's good for you, she said. I know. You're smiling again. Really smiling. Yeah, I'm happy for you, Marcus. You deserve this. I hugged her. Thanks for not giving up on me. Never? One evening in late February, I was walking home from a job when I saw her. Evelyn, she was pushing a stroller, walking slowly down the sidewalk near the park. I stopped, watched for a moment. She looked different, softer somehow, more careful, like the world had taught her something hard and necessary. She looked up and saw me. We stood there 20 feet apart, just looking at each other. I thought about walking over, about asking how she was, about meeting the baby, but I didn't. Instead, I nodded once, just a small acknowledgement that we'd both survived. She nodded back. Then I turned and walked away. That night, Maya came over with takeout and we ate on the floor of my living room, talking about nothing important. What are you thinking about? She asked, catching me staring out the window. Just how different things are now. Good different? Yeah, really good. She smiled and kissed my cheek. Good. Later, after she left, I sat in my grandfather's chair and looked around my apartment, at the plants on the windowsill that Linda had given me, at the card from Caleb's daughter still on my fridge, at the picture Maya had drawn of us that she'd left as a joke. This was my life now. Small, quiet, mine. And it was enough. More than enough. It was everything. March arrived with rain and new beginnings. The community garden started to bloom. Linda's tomato plants were already showing green shoots. Maya planted sunflowers in the corner plot, saying they reminded her of hope. I built a wooden bench near the garden entrance, carved my grandfather's initials in the back alongside mine. A small memorial, a quiet promise to keep building good things. Work was steady. I'd picked up 3 regular clients who called me first whenever something needed fixing. One of them, an elderly man named Mr. Patterson, started inviting me in for coffee after jobs. We'd sit at his kitchen table and talk about baseball and weather and life. You remind me of my son, he said one afternoon. Good man, steady hands, kind heart. Where's he now? Seattle. Busy with his own life. Don't see him much anymore. He smiled sadly. That's how it goes sometimes. I stayed an extra hour that day, fixed a squeaky door hinge he didn't ask me to fix, and refused payment for it. Some things you do just because they're right. Maya and I fell into an easy rhythm. Coffee on Tuesday mornings before she went to school, dinner at her place on Thursdays, weekends exploring the city or staying in and watching movies. She never pushed, never asked about my past, beyond what I offered, just accepted me as I was, right now, in this moment. One Saturday, we were walking through the farmer's market when she stopped at a flower stand. These are beautiful, she said, touching a bouquet of yellow roses. Want them? No, they're too expensive. I'm just looking. I bought them anyway, handed them to her with a smile. Marcus, you didn't have to. I know, I wanted to. She buried her face in the flowers, then looked up at me with eyes that were a little too bright. Thank you. You're welcome. That night, she told me she was falling in love with me. We were sitting on her couch, her head on my shoulder, the TV playing something neither of us was watching. I need to tell you something, she said quietly. Okay, I'm falling in love with you, and I know that might be too fast or too soon or too much, but I needed to say it, because it's true. I felt my chest tighten, not in a bad way, in a way that meant something was opening up inside me that I'd kept locked for too long. Maya, you don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I turned to face her, took her hand in mine. I'm falling in love with you too. Her smile could have lit up the whole city. Yeah, yeah. She kissed me then, soft and sweet and full of promise, and for the first time in years, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. April brought warm days and clear skies. I was working on a kitchen renovation when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Marcus, it's Sarah Chen, your attorney. Hey, what's up? I wanted to give you a heads up. Richard Cole's legal team reached out again. They're insistent about the settlement. I tore up the papers. I know, they sent new ones. Certified mail. Should arrive tomorrow. I set down my drill. What happens if I just ignore them? Nothing. You're not obligated to accept anything. But they seem concerned you might pursue legal action. For what? Alienation of affection. It's a stretch, but technically you could have a case. I laughed. Actually laughed. I'm not suing anyone. I know, but they don't know that. Tell them I'm not interested. In the settlement. In any of it. You're sure? It's a substantial amount. I'm sure. I don't want his money. All right, I'll let them know. After we hung up, I went back to work. The kitchen was coming together nicely. New cabinets, new countertops, fresh paint. The homeowner, a young couple with a baby, came in to check the progress. This looks amazing, the wife said, bouncing the baby on her hip. Should be done by next week. You do good work, Marcus. We'll definitely recommend you. I smiled. I appreciate that. That night, I told Maya about the call. They offered you money? Yeah, a lot of it. And you said no? I said no. She studied my face. Why? Because taking it would mean what he did still has power over me, would mean I need something from him. I shook my head. I don't need anything from him. I've got everything I need right here. She kissed me, long and slow and deep. You're a good man, Marcus Hill. I'm trying to be. One evening in late April, I was leaving my apartment when I ran into Linda in the hallway. Marcus, perfect timing. Can you help me with something? Sure. What do you need? The new tenant in 1D, young single mother. Her bathroom sink is leaking and she doesn't have money for a plumber. I'll take a look. The woman who answered the door looked exhausted, baby crying in the background, bags under her eyes. I'm so sorry to bother you, she said. Linda said you might be able to help? Not a bother. Let me see what's going on. The leak was simple, loose connection. Took me 15 minutes to fix. How much do I owe you? She asked, already reaching for her purse. Nothing. No, I can't. You're not. Consider it a welcome to the building gift. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you. You have no idea what that means. I just smiled and left. Later, Linda caught me in the lobby. You didn't charge her. Nope. You're going to go broke, being this nice? Maybe, but I'll sleep better. She patted my arm. Your grandfather would be proud of you. May brought flowers and warmth and possibility. Maya's school year ended and she had the whole summer off. We started planning small trips. Nothing expensive, just drives to the coast, hikes in the mountains, time together. One Saturday, we were sitting in the garden when she said, Tell me about your marriage. I looked at her. You sure you want to know? Only if you want to tell me? I thought about it, about Evelyn, about everything that had happened. I was married to someone who made me feel small, I said finally. Someone who looked at me and saw something temporary, a placeholder until something better came along. That must have hurt. It did. For a long time, I took her hand, but it also taught me something important. What's that? That I'm not temporary, that I'm not less than anyone else just because I work with my hands instead of sitting in an office, that my worth isn't determined by someone else's opinion of me. You're not temporary, Maya said softly. You're real and solid and good. I'm trying to be. You are. We sat there in the garden, surrounded by growing things, and I felt something settle in my chest. Something like acceptance, like peace. The past was the past. It happened. It hurt. But it didn't define me anymore. June brought long days and evening walks. I was finishing up a job when I got a text from an unknown number. This is Evelyn. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I needed to tell you something. Richard's getting married to his assistant. They're announcing it next week. I thought you should know before you saw it somewhere. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you're happy. I read it twice. Then I wrote back, I am happy. I hope you find the same. I hit send and blocked the number. Later that evening, I told Maya about it. How do you feel? She asked. Nothing. Really. It's just information. Doesn't change anything for me. Not even a little bit of satisfaction? I thought about it. No, I don't need him to fail for me to succeed. His life and mine, they're separate now. They don't touch anymore. She smiled. That's very healthy of you. I'm trying this new thing where I don't let people who hurt me live rent-free in my head. How's that going? Better than expected. July brought heat and lazy afternoons. Caleb threw a 4th of July barbecue. Maya came with me, meeting my friends for the first time as my girlfriend. Jenny pulled me aside while Maya was playing with their daughter. She's wonderful. Yeah, she is. You look different. Lighter. I feel different. Good different. The best different. That night, we watched fireworks from Caleb's roof, Maya's hand in mine, her head on my shoulder. This is nice, she said. Yeah, it is. I'm glad I met you, Marcus Hill. I'm glad you knocked on my door with those cookies. She laughed. Best decision I ever made. August brought a job offer I wasn't expecting. Mr. Patterson called and asked me to come by. When I arrived, he had another man with him. Marcus, this is my son, David. He owns a property management company in Seattle. Nice to meet you, I said, shaking his hand. My dad won't stop talking about you, David said. Says you're the best handyman he's ever met. Your dad's too kind. He also says you're honest and reliable and good with people. That's rare. I appreciate that. I'm expanding my company, opening a branch here in the city. I need someone to run maintenance operations, someone I can trust, someone good with their hands and good with people. He paused. I'd like to offer you the position. I blinked. Seriously? Seriously? Better pay? Health insurance? Retirement plan? You'd still do hands-on work, but you'd also manage a small team. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. Talk to your people. Let me know by next week. I took his card and thanked him. That night, I talked to Maya about it. That's amazing, Marcus. It's a big change. Good change? I think so, but it's scary. She took my hand. You know what I tell my students when they're scared to try something new? What? That being brave doesn't mean not being scared. It means being scared and doing it anyway. I smiled. You're pretty smart for a second-grade teacher. I know. The next morning, I called David and accepted the position. September brought new routines and new challenges. I started my new job, met my team, learned the systems. It was hard at first, getting used to managing people instead of just working alone. But I liked it. Liked teaching younger guys what I knew. Liked solving bigger problems. Maya started her new school year. We'd have dinner together most nights, trading stories about our days. Life was good, simple, full. One evening, we were cooking dinner together in her apartment when she said, "I've been thinking about something." "Yeah? My lease is up in October." "Okay." And I was wondering, she turned to face me. "What would you think about getting a place together?" My heart did something strange in my chest. Like, move in together? "Yeah, if you want. No pressure. I just thought." I kissed her, cut off whatever she was going to say next. "Yes," I said when we pulled apart. "Yeah? Yeah. Let's get a place together." Her smile was brighter than the sun. October brought change and possibility. We found an apartment together. 2 bedrooms, big windows, a balcony with a view of the park. Moving day was chaos. Caleb and Jenny helped. Linda cried and made us promise to visit. Mr. Patterson gave us a housewarming gift, a framed photo of the garden bench I'd built. That night, surrounded by boxes in our new home, Maya and I sat on the floor and ate pizza. "This is ours," she said, looking around. "Yeah, it is. I love it." "Me too." She leaned against me. "Thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for knocking on my door." November brought the first snow and quiet evenings at home. We decorated for Thanksgiving. Maya insisted on a real turkey, even though neither of us really knew how to cook one. We figured it out together, laughing at our mistakes, creating something imperfect and beautiful. One night, after dinner, I was washing dishes when Maya came up behind me and wrapped her arms around my waist. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." "No, I mean, I really love you. Like, this is it for me. You're it." I turned around, dried my hands, took her face in my palms. "You're it for me too." And I meant it. Every word. December brought Christmas lights and new traditions. We spent Christmas Eve with Maya's family, Christmas Day with Caleb and Jenny. On New Year's Eve, we stayed home, made fancy dinner, drank wine, watched the ball drop on TV. At midnight, she kissed me. "Happy New Year, Marcus. Happy New Year. What are you thinking about?" I looked around our apartment, at the life we'd built together, at the woman who saw me, really saw me, and chose to stay. "I'm thinking about how a year ago, I was sitting alone in a different apartment, wondering if I'd ever feel whole again. And now? Now I know I was always whole. I just needed to find someone who could see it." She smiled. "I see you. I know. That's why I love you." Life kept moving forward. Some mornings, driving to work in my gray BMW, I'd pass the old condo building. Sometimes I'd think about Evelyn, about Richard, about who they were now and what their lives looked like. But mostly, I didn't. Mostly, I thought about the job waiting for me, about the team I was building, about coming home to Maya and whatever dinner we'd make together, and the quiet joy of a life that fit. I never saw Evelyn again, never heard from Richard's lawyers. The past stayed in the past where it belonged. Sometimes, late at night, Maya would ask if I ever regretted how it all happened. "No," I'd say, "not anymore." "Why not?" "Because it brought me here, to you, to this life, and I wouldn't trade this for anything." She'd smile and kiss me, and we'd fall asleep, tangled together in our bed, in our apartment, in our life. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. The quiet life I rebuilt wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't make headlines or turn heads, but it was mine, built on dignity, on self-respect, on the understanding that love shouldn't make you smaller. Real love, the kind worth having, makes you more yourself, more whole, more real. I found that with Maya, in the garden with Linda, in barbecues with Caleb and Jenny, in honest work and quiet mornings, and the simple act of choosing myself when no one else would. Revenge doesn't have to be loud to be complete. Sometimes the sharpest answer is just living well, being happy, driving away, and never looking back. The end.